As much as I like to look back on the anime of yesteryear with a nostalgic tear in my eye, sometimes it's hard to do that. I still maintain that anime was never as good as it was back then, and we are still trying to recapture lost glory, but in a lot of ways, anime was also never as bad. And really, the reason for that is twofold. One, licensing companies here in the States typically have more money to purchase rights, and don't have to scrape from the bottom of the OVA barrel for whatever they can afford. Secondly, tastes have changed since those days, and the market heavily favors television series and feature films over direct-to-video titles, which, as we've come to know by now, are pretty much where bad, violent schlock anime calls home. The reason why OVAs are typically more explicit is because they don't have to meet broadcast standards. So that's why they can get away with showing children getting chewed up by machine guns. Additionally, I think there was a higher demand for ultra-violence back then than there is now. Yeah, violent series are still being made, as Shiguri more than proves, but they're not nearly being made en masse as they were before, and I think that can be linked, oddly enough, to the proliferation of the internet. I know, it sounds weird, but hear me out. When you think about the heyday of ultra-violent anime, you're thinking of the late 80s to the early 90s, where otakudom was strictly a solo activity. Yes, even in Japan, being into video games and anime is a niche activity, and people who were really into it were, and still are, looked at as being weird. It was definitely worse back then, when everyday Japanese citizens didn't even know what being an otaku meant, as made evident by one of the more intriguing documentaries I've ever seen regarding the subject, plainly titled Otaku.
I've never heard of it. Is that Japanese?
I'll be the first to admit that otaku is hard to watch, and that it's painting a very sad portrait of the Japanese nerd scene. As much as we like to think that we're very social and well-adjusted people, and that the general public are just being closed-minded, we can't deny that we know some of the people here in this documentary. Hell, some of us can probably see a bit of ourselves in these men.
Have you ever had sex?
Today we know that we're not alone in our fandom, and it's quite easy to reach out and interact with the community through the internet. But back then, you were lucky to have a small circle of friends. Most likely, we were alone in liking these weird cartoons, and we were thought of as weird for liking them. It's all too easy to escape being ostracized by burying yourself in the escapist fantasy provided by anime, where bullies were swiftly punished, often violently, and women seemed frail and unthreatening.
What is an otaku?
Someone who has a hobby which is noticeable. He's a fanatic. Someone who has no friends. Who's dull. Who stays indoors. Someone closed in on themselves and a bit suspect. Basically, someone I have no desire to get to know.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that the violent schlock anime of yore was seen as a sort of escapist fantasy, and only during this time could an anime like Devilman exist, in what I like to call the 2000 AD period. Dark backgrounds, lots of blood, high body count, and palpable misanthropy. Unlike with our previous encounter with Go Nagai's work, Devilman isn't nearly as lighthearted as Kunihoney, or at all for that matter. It's a 2-episode OVA that's about as uplifting as Johnny Got His Gun. Don't get me wrong, with a title like Devilman, you'd have to be Jeffrey Dahmer to think that this would be appropriate for kids before nap time. But more than just being draining, it's actually kind of boring. Yeah, an anime that features a devil-possessed teenager ripping the wings off a harpy-like demon is kind of dull. That shouldn't be possible. I sense some disbelief from you, the viewer. Don't worry, I'll make my case. We begin our tale apparently in the land before time as prehistoric creatures chill and do prehistoric creaturey stuff. Until seraphim, I think, descend from heaven. Soft music, nice colors. Hell, this looks like an anime version of Fantasia. Maybe this won't be so... God damn it, giant enemy crab. Can't we have nice things? This is how you open your anime? A sequence where angels are ripped to shreds, their faces of pain and anguish front and center in frame, their screams of agony backed by a sweeping score that sounds like a goddamn space opera? This is the kind of shit that Joe Mad beats off to every night before he cries into his notes for Darksiders 3. After we have that all-important opening, we continue the theme of pointless savagery by having our main character Akira find out that some bullies killed the school rabbits, and is brutally beaten with a bike chain when he doesn't give up the only surviving rabbit to them to pointlessly kill.
Hey, I'm warning you, kid. You'd better do what he says. This guy's a real psycho once he gets pissed off with you.
Fuck you!
Huh?
Badass. Then the gang leader tells the bike chain psycho to lay off because Akira has guts?
Hey kid, you're a stupid little fucker. But I'll admit, one thing you got is plenty of guts. So I guess it would be only fair for us to overlook this nasty little incident. But don't be an asshole in the future.
Says the guy who killed helpless rabbits for fun, you dickless shitbag. Again, I ask, what is the point of this scene? There is no narrative callback, these bullies never show up again in the OVA, and the scene ends on a completely nonsensical note. I don't even know what I'm supposed to feel in this scene, other than blind fucking rage! What's frustrating is that between these completely unnecessary hateful scenes are these little moments that really add a lot to the characters. After the shitheads make tracks, Akira's kinda sorta girlfriend Mickey tends to his wounds.
Come on now, you've got to let me clean that up.
It doesn't need cleaning up. It's only a tiny little scratch. Ugh.
You see that? That little gesture right there? That speaks more about their relationship than any dialogue could. Animation is an expensive medium, and you have to cut corners whenever you can. It would have been cheaper for the studio to just have Mickey tell Akira to stop acting like a macho jerk and let her help him. But instead, they chose to have her emote that command and feeling without saying it. It's these subtle moments that lesser anime don't even bother with, and it really separates the quality from the schlock. But then, they piss away any chance to build subtlety.
Ever since my parents' disastrous expedition to the South Pole, bad luck just seems to be a real good friend of mine.
That line is so forced and clunky you can hear the thud. Here, I'll play it back for you. Maybe you missed it.
Ever since my parents' disastrous expedition to the South Pole, bad luck just seems to be a real good friend of mine.
Thud!
Well, that's rubbish, because I'm your bestest friend unless you think I'm bad luck.
No, of course you're right. It's ridiculous. I'm just being damn stupid.
So you're literally saying that you're stupid for bringing up your own backstory. Huh. Quite convenient that I have an anime that reviews itself. Making their way home, Akira and Mickey are stopped by a mysterious stranger emerging through the thicket.
Huh? Oh, of course, it's my old friend Rio. How the hell have you been keeping then?
What? Wait! This isn't a creepy stalker! It's just my old friend Rio! Who is creepily stalking me! And then tells me I have to follow him to his car. And when my kinda sorta girlfriend tries to keep me from doing this, my creepy friend threatens her with a knife! Ha ha! Classic Rio! And this, right here, is where the plot comes to a grinding halt. For the rest of the first half, Rio tells Akira about the history of demons and how they need to continue his father's legacy by eradicating the demons, and in order to do that, they need to become demons, and then Akira was a demon. The end. I just summarized 40 minutes of screen time for you in one paragraph. And you know what the hell of it is? This whole entire setup doesn't even matter. I mean, yes, we get the backstory about how demons feasted on humans for most of history until the Ice Age conveniently froze them solid, but it's not like this is plot-critical information. It's brought up, has no impact, and is never mentioned again. Hell, by the second half of the series, Rio has been downgraded to human sidekick with nary a mention of his father. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, if the demons were frozen in huge blocks of ice during the Ice Age, why are they suddenly appearing now?
What, you mean that Dante maybe saw these things? That perhaps the demons have been entombed in ice since the last Ice Age?
Yes, I think so. Because of global warming, the ice caps are receding, and then they'll be back.
Gasp! Global warming? Why didn't Al Gore warn us about this? Now, as the polar ice caps melt, the demons that once roamed the earth will return to gnaw our balls off. Have I got your attention now, shit biscuits? Buy a Prius. But what really gripes me is the fact that they keep making a point that only demons can kill demons.
There is only one way possible for a human being to truly defeat a demonic entity. You must become one with a demon. Understand? Only another demon is able to fight with a demon.
When it seems that plain old guns do the job just fine. Really, Rio? Only a demon can kill a demon? What about the time Akira blasted a demon's head open with a sawed-off shotgun? If all it takes is a shotgun to put these guys down, I think humanity is safe. But nothing compares to how Akira becomes Devilman. They have a ritual that is basically a sweet rave party.
What the fuck?
And the best part? All of this is happening under Rio's house.
I see, so in order for a union with a demon to take place, we have to abandon our powers of human reason.
Precisely, we have to cast aside our human reason as completely as is possible, which is why I've laid on this little lot. I gathered this bunch of no-hopers here myself. They're used to throwing away reason in the pursuit of pleasure.
So, what you're saying is, you found a bunch of wastoids, led them to your creepy house, then you put them in an underground party scene under digital lock, I might add, and you've been keeping them here in a constant state of partying for what has to be days. We end the first part with Akira merging with the demon Amon, becoming Devilman, who pretty much wrecks everyone's shit. We begin the second half with Akira getting a phone call from a demon, and then he runs into the sewers because he knows that the demon is there for some reason. Okay, I can wrap my head around the fact that maybe he can sense where the demon is, or maybe he knows that this is where the demon likes to hide, but I refuse to believe that this guy...
Each one represents an eternity of bitterness, suffering, and misery. I love to hear them suffering, so much more satisfactory than killing them, even if you do it slowly, don't you think?
Bothered to find a phone in the sewers and called Akira to challenge him.
Come to me, Akira. Come and face your final destiny. Alright, now, how do you hang this thing up again? Damn it, my claws are getting in the... Oh shit, I dropped the receiver. Can't reach tiny turtle arms.
So the turtle demon explains that he has Akira's dead mom trapped in his shell, and that killing him means killing his mom and every other soul trapped in his shell. And it's just as forced as you all think it is.
According to humans, eating other creatures to survive is not evil. That's true, isn't it? That's what they say. Well, you know what they also say. It's bad to kill. It's wrong to kill living things. That's what they say. Well, I don't kill when I eat, and I only eat to survive, so I'm okay. But you, where does that leave you? You just killed a human and you didn't eat him.
Are you getting the subtle message yet? Still, Akira can't bring himself to lay the latest smackdown on the turtle's candy ass, and winds up at its mercy. But then his mother appears to him in a vision explaining that she's already dead and she wants him to release her from this. And how does she convince him? By showing him her unbelievably gory death.
Invisible hands tore and ripped me into pieces.
Stop it! Why are you showing me this? I don't want to see it!
You have to see it. If you don't understand, you won't be able to fight.
Now that is good parenting. Hell, my mom used to do the same thing to me whenever I didn't clean up my room. Knowing his mother's fate, Akira manages to nut up and kill his mother and rips off the turtle's shell. To be fair, this ending scene is actually pretty effective.
At least his shell is silent now. The people released from their living death by actual death. At last my poor mother can rest in peace. By killing her, I've saved her.
Yeah, that was about 15 minutes into part 2. Why was this not the end again? I mean, it's not a perfect ending or anything. The turtle demon came out of absolutely nowhere, and the whole exchange lacks any kind of connective believability. Akira gets a phone call from the turtle and runs a bit, apparently knowing exactly where he is, and Akira's mom just happens to be trapped on his shell. What's worse, Akira knew this demon, apparently, because he says his name at their first encounter, meaning that he knew about his power to trap souls in his shell. So why did the turtle demon go through that explanation a second time? And yet, this would have been an appropriate ending for the series. Akira does the hardest thing he has ever done, comes to terms with his new inhumanity, and we end on a bittersweet note. Clumsy, amateur, but serviceable. Instead, we get a whole news section that has nothing to do with the beginning, about a demon harpy planning her attack on Devilman. Although, this is where we get the best line read in the entire series.
How are things with you?
Things are very much the same, you know how it is.
Mr. Asuka needs to rest as much as possible, so don't tire him out.
Right.
Okay. I'm fine. One word! It was just one word, and Alan Marriott still somehow managed to fuck it up. Oh, Alan, I cannot seem to escape you, can I? You are my rock. From your memorable turn as Eddie the Meowth guy in Mad Bull 34 to your unforgettable performance as Bubba from X, you are my only constant. And don't you worry. I forgive you for Junk Boy. It looks like Rio is recovering nicely from the Raver Demon seance, but out of nowhere he takes a turn for the misanthropic.
I've been thinking a lot while I've been in here, and I wonder if what we're doing is right. Perhaps it's actually the natural order of things that demons should exist to kill people.
Now listen here, Rio. If you ever say that again, I'll rip your fucking head off and shit down your neck, okay?
Private Rio, I'm only going to give you 3 seconds. Exactly 3 fucking seconds to wipe that stupid looking grin off your face before I gouge out your eyeballs and skull fuck you! See, I could steal from Full Metal Jacket too. This was what I was talking about when I mentioned misanthropy earlier. Rio has this sudden thought that the demons are supposed to be humanity's natural predator to cull the population, which is exactly why he went out of his way to kill the demons. How did he come to this conclusion? Why did he come to this conclusion? And why not sooner?
Look, just take it easy, will you? All I'm saying is that every creature on this planet has a natural enemy, and that's nature's way of maintaining the ecosystem.
Hold your horses, Blue Gender. We've heard this same song and dance before. Hell, that's what Parasite Eve was all about. Except it was executed better. And written better. And everything better. What you're proposing is that demons are built into nature to be man's predator. Demons, who you said were unnatural.
But you surely can't mean this thing could be a natural formation.
Natural? No, not exactly. This thing was shaped by forces that are very unnatural.
Objection! If he was just going to have this heel turn, why even bother in the first place? Then Rio digs himself a deeper hole by going on and on about how nuclear war, of all things, is inevitable because there's no threat against man's growth. What does this have to do with anything?
But then again, we could use the knowledge and technology we've gained while the demons were trapped in the ice to create new weapons. Weapons we could use against demons instead of people.
Objection! Now, I am just a simple internet reviewer, so you might need to clarify a few things. If creating weapons capable of killing demons is possible, then can you explain yourself back in part 1?
Only another demon is able to fight with a demon.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I propose that Mr. Rio Asaka is talking out his ass. I'll rest my case. Well, if such technology can be made, humanity better come up with it fast, as the Harpy is on the hunt for Devilman. But we need to shoehorn more awkward love scenes between Akira and Mickey.
You really ought to take a bath.
Nah, I'll dry off in a minute. Besides, I can't be bothered.
You pig! I couldn't stand not having a bath every day.
Let me know next time. I'll soap your tits for you.
Pro tip, Akira. If you're trying to say something sexy, try not to sound like you're threatening her.
Hey, Mickey.
Hmm?
It's just an idea, but why don't you change your underwear?
You know what? Why don't you just not talk to her at all? I give Devilman a lot of shit, and believe me, it truly deserves every bit of it. But there are some moments and scenes where it truly outdoes itself. As the Harpy summons a couple of demons to basically lure Devilman out to weaken him, there is genuine tension as one of the demons stalks Mickey, and even takes the form of the water she's bathing in. Both fights with each demon are creative, creepy, and well animated. For its time, I mean. Too bad I can't show you any of it because Mickey is butt-ass naked through all of it. But really well shot, though. So, after defeating both demons, the Harpy launches her attack and manages to catch him off guard. It looks like it's lights out for Devilman.
Rio!
Wow! Where did he find such a magical weapon? In a mystical temple? In a cave?
You can find this in the sporting goods department.
Fuck you. So Devilman transforms and the two duke it out for 20 minutes. Just as the Harpy is on her last legs, she does the unthinkable. She prays to Satan to help her. And it works. The sky cracks open, thunder sounds, and what happens before the Harpy?
Shira news. Satan has sent me to help you.
This is what you get when you ask Satan to help you. I honestly thought this was supposed to be a joke, but the anime plays it completely serious. The Dawn fan here tells the Harpy to meld with him to get his powers, but the Harpy is afraid that she's too wounded, and that should her consciousness be the dominant one, they would die. And apparently they love each other.
I can't let you take the risk.
It's not up to you. Existence is meaningless to me unless I have you to share it with me.
Okay. I don't know thing one about their relationship. We were just introduced to one of these characters, out of nowhere I might add, and still this is a better love story than Twilight. Having merged, it looks like the Elephant Harpy is unstoppable, and the Devilman is on his last legs when he blacks out. But when he awakes back in his human form, it's revealed that the Harpy died before she could make the killing blow. The end. Okay. Weird note to go out on. But at least it's over. Besides its dragging, awful pace, the nonsensical character turns, the inconsistent mythology, and the general unabashed hatred of its fellow man, Devilman is pretty boring. Aside from a few lines here and there of general what the fuckery, there really isn't a lot present here that can catapult this anime into so bad it's good territory. It's violent schlock, no doubt about it, but there's nothing that separates it from the mountain of violent schlock available. Well, speaking of violent schlock, I have a feeling that this wasn't the review you were looking forward to. You probably wanted this. You know, this is pretty rare. I mean, this isn't just the English dub. This is the uncut version. You can't even find a torrent of this, let alone a physical copy online. And I'm going to keep it that way. A wind named Amnesia.